Hi everybody, I'm Tony E at Show IP Interface Brief, and today's day 66 of the 100 Days of Labbing Journey. Today was actually, I'm not even sure if I should count this as a lab day. I might just call this day 66 part 1 and do a follow-up, which is a full-on lab on a real day 66. I did just a small element today, but I thought it was worth coming on and streaming, and here's why. Let me see if I can get my screen right. I thought it was worth coming on and streaming because I am very tired tonight, and I didn't come home till about 9 with both kids, and then I had to do bath time and shower time and get the kids to bed, and it was 9:30, and normally that's not that big a deal, but my wife is out of town, so I'm here um, by myself with the kids, and it just means I have just a little bit of extra responsibility. And I know there's a lot of people out there with lots more responsibility than I have, and a lot less opportunity to study. But it does sort of throw a wrench in your plans, um, sort of screwing with your regular schedule, and having some additional responsibilities. Um, so all I really wanted to do after the kids went to bed, I wanted to go to bed myself. I actually just wanted to lay in bed, turn on Netflix, or maybe watch some old Cisco Live videos, anything. I was just really tired. I didn't feel like labbing. But I forced myself to walk down here, sit in front of the computer, actually open it up, turn it on. Um, I even goofed off a little bit and was on Twitter for a bit. But the fact is I came down here and I labbed, and I did just a little bit. And all I did is I took the topology that I already had, that I was working on last Sunday, and just added some configs to it, just to make sure that it worked, just to make sure I have good chops. So, um, last time I ended my stream on Sunday with it wasn't actually a complicated issue, but I was approaching it as if it was, and I think that was just the result of sort of being mentally exhausted and labbing all day, and that's what the CCIE lab is like. Now I've never taken the lab, not yet anyhow, but that's why I go through these long labs on Sundays. I'll stream for 8, sometimes 9 hours, because I'm trying to condition myself, my mind and my body, my physical body, to be able to sit here and lab for that long. And I'm paying the toll for it, man. I've put on weight. I've lost muscle mass. Um, I've clocked in a lot of lab hours and a lot less gym hours. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, I've never actually gone to the gym, but but a lot less opportunity to better my health and to make sure I'm staying on a healthy track. Because every moment that I'm not studying, I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice. I feel like I should be studying. Any moment I have free time, I should be studying. And not just I'm doing myself a disservice, I'm doing my family a disservice, right? Because I'm sacrificing my time with my family by studying for CCIE. But they are also sacrificing their time with me. Um, while I'm down here studying, they're supposed to, my kids are supposed to leave me alone, not come in here and do too many interruptions in this little room I have. My wife she does a great job of taking the kids out of the house and taking them to church, and making sure they're out doing activities. So I have the opportunity to make the most of my time. And if I'm not down here studying, I'm doing them a disservice. So that's why I haven't been doing any physical activity, and my body's really been paying the toll for that. It certainly has. But anyhow, tonight I was just too tired to lab. But you know what? I came down here and labbed anyways, and I'm happier that I did. So if anyone's looking for motivation, I wish I had some inspiring words, but the only way to get through it is just to get your lazy ass in front of the computer and start a lab. That's it. Just start a lab. Just do something. Lab and then go to bed. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I pushed through tonight. I have been not labbing and not streaming very much lately. because I've been dedicating my evenings and my after hours to a project that I'm working on for work. And it had a tight deadline, and I just needed to make sure I put all of my time into it to make sure it was successful. And we're approaching the end of sort of a phase of that project, and so I'm looking forward to getting back into regular labbing, and streaming and sharing the journey. But I've had a lot of fun working on this project. Um, Most people, if you don't know me personally and you only know me via these streams and the sort of um, networking stuff that I surround myself with on social media, then you probably won't know that I spend a lot of time in security, and I'm not talking about CCIE or CCNA or CCNP security, um, although I do deal a lot with firewalls often. I know that's not the only product there in the security track, but it is firewall heavy. But anyhow, I deal a lot with security, and so for like the past 2 weeks, I've been working with Kali Linux, a lot of Metasploit stuff, a lot of interpreter sessions. I've had to build my own scripts to keep backdoors open because the persistence in Metasploit or in Interpreter sometimes fails after a certain number of tries. It just doesn't live very long. Even if you tune the settings for it to stay alive for longer, it still crashes. So I've had to overcome a lot of really cool stuff, designing firewall rules, segmenting networks. This is all in a giant virtual environment, sort of what I. It's my job, but I also get to do it for fun. So I get the best of both worlds, and I mean that's why it's so much fun. I get to deal with a lot of exploits, a lot of backdoors, a lot of I'm trying to think what could I classify it as, organizational tactics of red teams. And how to pull off different attacks and things. And so I'm not all routing and switching. I'm certainly not OSPF and EIGRP every day. I probably deal more with security aspects than I do security aspects like dealing with Bro and Suricata and a lot with NetFlow and network monitoring and PCAP and that's the fun stuff. That's what I love to do. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love networking so much and why I'm so passionate about networking and why I'm striving to get my CCIE, is because really I love being in the security world. And it's so surprising to me when I go to security conferences where there are people who are good at reverse engineering and writing exploits and finding 0 days and they're part of Bug Crowd and all these different crowdsource groups. And sometimes my company will have a booth at some of these conferences or a table as a sponsor, and some of the challenges that I write are normally networking based, and it's just astonishing the number of hackers at a hacker conference that can't route side of their own network. For most networking people, that's so simple, but for a lot of people who are focused on different aspects of cybersecurity, information security, hacking, and red teaming and blue teaming in general, who don't focus on the networking aspect of it, just don't know it. And that's where I find myself as having a personal advantage, because I have relatively strong networking background, right? I'm not a CCIE yet, but a relatively strong networking background, and I get to bring that into the security world. So I'm always trying to help and teach and sort of grow that side of the skill set. Christopher Romeo, hey, thanks for joining me on stream today, Christopher. After you pass CCIE, what's next? Possibly something in the security space? Maybe. So after I pass my CCIE route switch, I am not planning on taking the CCIE security, frankly, because I don't enjoy Cisco ISE. Actually, I think it's and I know all you Cisco security people out there are going to bash me for it, but I really think it's fucking terrible. I mean, it does its job. You know, it's a great evolution from TACAX Plus. You know what we're coming from TACAX Plus, and that's being sort of sunsetted and everything's being rolled into ICE. That's great, and I know there's a ton of new features and everything. And an organization that I worked with many years ago, not many years ago, like 1 or 2 years ago, uh, was not one of the first organizations to bring ICE in, but certainly one of the first under our larger umbrella. And and it wasn't ready. You know what I mean? It was being sold as it was ready. It wasn't ready. But anyhow, I'm really into network security. So I really love. I've found a lot of joy in writing signatures. So I like writing signatures, either Suricata, Snort, or even other vendor IPSs signatures. I really like diving into packets. I love carving up packets. I really love SharkFest. I don't know if anyone knows about SharkFest out there. It's a Wireshark conference. All the videos are out there on YouTube for SharkFest. You can go to the SharkFest channel. Those guys and girls in the conferences who are attending and giving the talks are so absolutely brilliant at diving into packets. It's unbelievable. They can look at a small sample PCAP of your network and sometimes identify things that are going on in your network that you didn't even know were going on. You know, with TCP windowing and time to live values wrong and CRC checks that are invalid and you know, stuff that gets through routers sometimes that shouldn't. And they're able to find that stuff. I think that is really brilliant. So I will probably, after my CCIE, dive further into security. I have a pretty cool network security stack here at my home, a bunch of open source projects, just sort of string together. It's not anything fancy. You know, there's a lot of cool tools out there like Security Onion. There's a Security Onion conference, which is happening this week or happened last week, one or the other. And that's a great suite of tools that are put together that people can run at home. Lots of enterprises now run it. It has grown into a large project, has its own conference and everything. That's where I live. So if anyone wants to know, like, what do I do in security? Everything in Security Onion, but I don't use Security Onion, right? We use all of those sort of elements, and we build things and do analytics and stuff. Maybe a long break? No, probably not. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, I guess. I hope to get into more routing and switching. I don't actually do a lot of routing and switching where I'm at currently. But anyhow, speaking about security conferences, I'm going to be at B-Sides DC this weekend. If anyone is in the Washington, D.C. area, there's a security conference called B-Sides. If you haven't heard of it, go look it up, B-Sides DC. I'll be there Friday at the OpenSOC IO event. Let's see if I can pull that up here. It's the first time I've ever done this event. It was very popular. I think they did it at another B-Sides recently, and it was one of the top events. It got sold out really quickly, so I bought a ticket for it. OpenSOC IO is here, and you can check it out, opensoc.io. But like an example, here's a lot of open source products. I think that they string together and basically hold a blue teaming training and CTF event around. And I haven't done this yet, so I don't really know what to expect, but I've heard a lot of great things. I'm familiar with a lot of these products and projects, so I'm ready to dive in and see whatever they can throw my way. I definitely want to learn more. So this is the space that I live in. This is what I like to do. Even though I'm trying to get my routing and switching CCIE, this is where I spend most of my days and time in open source projects. Focused on network security. So that's where I'll be this weekend. I don't know if any viewers are going to be there. There's a couple people I've connected with who are going to be there. So if anyone is going to be that way, give me a shout on Twitter at ShowIPInterfaceBrief. And but my point is I haven't been doing a lot of labbing and streaming on networking because I've been doing a lot of stuff for work, and a lot of my stuff for work revolves around stuff like this, and this is what I really love. So I don't mind giving up my evenings to finish my projects online because it's fun, and it is so awesome when you get to find a project at work that is fun, that you really enjoy. Sometimes, look, I get it. Sometimes work is just work. Right? Sometimes you just go in there, you make coffee in the morning, you put in your 8 hours, and you go home. And sometimes work is work. But when work can be more than just work, it's really a lot of fun. And fortunately, I work for a great company where a lot of times work is more than work. And this is one of those times. So that's if anyone's wondered why I've skipped some videos lately and skipped a lot of labbing days, that is why. Been very, very busy at work. I do want to show my progress so far. Here is a spreadsheet that I built when I started this journey. Actually, I think I built it right after I started, maybe the first week or so. And it's a spreadsheet. It's a basic spreadsheet, a way for me to track my time. I started here with, started labeling my days, all the days of the week and all of the dates. So I started on July 2nd, my 100 days of labbing journey. This is my first day. I did 2 hours. This number here is the aggregate of all of column D. So I went ahead and dragged this down. I think I gave myself 100 days. No, actually, I gave myself more than 100. I gave myself, let's see, -2, about 111 entries. I thought I was going to do 100 days of labbing with about 11 days of fudge. But here we are at about 111 days, even though this says row 113. There's 2 rows at the top that don't count. So it's 111 days, and I'm only on day 65. So I still got a lot more to do. So I need to adjust this bottom row and drag that on down and give myself lots of space. But I do want to point out, I have 217 hours clocked in 65 days. 217 divided by 65 equals, looks like I'm getting on average. Now that's an average amount. 3 1/3. 3 hours and 20 minutes of lab on average per day. Now that is obviously not true because I don't do 3 hours every night. Rather, on Sundays, I do long labs, which are upwards of 6 hours, and generally throughout the week, I get 1 or 2 hours in. I'd like to do it more days than not, but sometimes things happen. Anyhow, I wanted to show you guys that this is very important for me to be able to track my progress. This is going to enable me to be able to project how much time I've spent studying. And there's a lot of metrics that maybe could have been added to this. I know Chris Pratt, I think his name is, has a Google Docs form that he uses to keep track of his labbing, and I think it auto-generates some spreadsheets and graphs and stuff, which is a really cool idea, and I hope to develop something like that as well. But keep track of your study time. And that's because if you're like me, a serial procrastinator, a super procrastinator, you'll be labbing away and labbing, and you'll feel like you're not making a lot of progress and you haven't done very much. And then you try to recall in your mind, how much time have I spent? Am I using my time wisely? A simple spreadsheet or a way just to keep track, or even a notebook to show you what days, you can just write it, what days you clock in and clock out for labbing, is very important to be able to look back and say, you know what, I've put in a lot of time. I got some mileage on this keyboard, and it sort of makes it real. At least it does for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any idea how much time I've spent doing all this. So I know this wasn't a super technical video vlog today, but I just wanted to sort of share that, where I've been, where I'm going, and how I've been spending my time lately. And I will get back on the wagon with studying. I just need to get this project behind me. But I'm not letting it sort of upset me. I'm happy to do it. I'm having fun with this project. It's a lot of fun. So everyone keep labbing, lab every day, and I'll see you guys on day 66 part 2 coming up soon.